Hi everyone, how are you doing? Today I will talk about A Song of Ice and Fire, Book 1, Game of Thrones. Many of you have read it, and many have seen the TV show, but I'm going to talk about it and talk about some of the themes, the character analysis, and an overall my opinion of the stories and how good they are. Let's start by talking a bit about George R.R. Martin, the brilliant creator. Many of you know him and know of his stories and his books and his novels. He's famous for killing heroes and the main characters. He's a brilliant writer. The plot, in short, the plot is about families who fight over power because the king dies and now the hand of the king wants to see control over the throne, but the queen and her son have a different agenda. This is basically a short summary of the story. And this, of course, this conflict arises war. The main characters, there are 9 main characters that the story focuses on, but the lead one for the most part of the story is Ned Stark, or Lord Eddard Stark, the Lord of Winterfell, and then the head of the king. And there are also the king, the Sir Jaime Lannister, one of his king's guard, the queen, Jaime's sister, Catelyn Stark, or Lady Stark, Ned's wife, Jon Snow, he is the unawful son of Ned Stark, Daenerys Targaryen, Lord Tyrion Lannister, Jaime and Cersei, brother, and Robb Stark. There are also other side characters but we don't need to discuss them for now. I will later on return to Peter Baelish and talk about him for a bit. The themes. There are many themes, but I want to focus on a few of them. Number one is identity. So one thing that is quite interesting in the novel is identity. Like, a character isn't based on his actions or his behavior, but rather on who he is. Is he the son of a king? Is he a lord? Is he a prince? Or is he just a squire or a normal person? Jon Snow is an excellent example for that because he is Ned Stark's son, but not his actual son, but from another woman and not from Lady Stark. And for that, Catelyn Stark hates him and despises him, and she eventually asks him to leave for the Night's Watch and to never return to Winterfell because she cannot stand him among her other 5 children. And eventually he leaves. However, he is a much better person than what Catelyn Stark thinks he is, and we will return to him in a few minutes. Let's leave family for now and politics. Let's talk about honor and the importance of honor in the story, especially for Ned Stark. So Ned Stark basically loses everything because he is honorable. He could have become the king. He could have become the protector of the realm. He could have won the war, but he loses all of these things because he's honorable. He cares more about honor than about power, and that basically makes him look like a fool. And Cersei Lannister, who is the exact opposite of Lord Stark, she has no honor. She doesn't care about honor. She only cares about her family and power, and for that she overtakes him and she keeps the throne, and he cannot take the throne from her because eventually he doesn't have the number and he gets betrayed. So in a way, honor is the reason that Ned Stark dies. His honor kills him, not his mistakes, not his behavior, not his actions, just his honor. The idea of being honorable kills him. And now we get to power. The power in the story is a really great concept. The Lannisters, the powerful, the mighty, the majestic, the rich, they control everything in the story. When you read it, you will see that the Lannisters, despite the Stark's behavior, you could see that they are winning. Despite them being bad guys, they are winning. They are doing exactly what they want. No one is stopping them. Why? Because they are rich, and with money you can buy loyalty. And when someone's loyal to you, they will do whatever you tell them to do. Friendship. The friendship of King Robert and the friendship of Ned Stark. They were friends for a long time, almost 20 years, since the Battle of the a rebellion of Robert against the Mad King, and we can see that their friendship is tested in this story because one is a king and one is the hand of the king, and the hand of the king cannot disobey the king, and the king cannot enforce himself on his friend, on the hand of the king, because he knows that he is his friend. Yet he can do it, and sometimes he does, but he doesn't do it all the time. And that leads to conflict between the two that they eventually resolve. But the idea here is that despite how strong your friendship was, or in a way is, when you are a king, things are different. Good with evil. Let's talk about this for a minute. In the story, many people are going to read the story and think that the Starks are the good people, and I would agree. Or they would think that the Baratheons are the good people. The main thing is they are going to hate the Lannisters, and to some degree that is true. Eventually they didn't directly start the war, but they pushed Brandon from the on top of the mountain. And this action alone shows that they are bad people. There is no argument in that. But there is a difference between bad character and bad character choices or actions, and that is a great concept in the story. We can see how despite the Lannisters being bad people, they do have some good actions. For example, Tyrion Lannister. Despite the Starks being good people, they have bad and unfair actions. The same for Catelyn Stark. She seizes Tyrion Lannister just on the word of Littlefinger. Little did she know that Littlefinger lied to her, and etc. We can skip this and this. I don't have time. Let's talk about this for a second. The way this show changed my life. It really has. It really has changed how I see things. I understand things. I've been reading these books. Here it is. I've been reading it for 5 years. I read it all the time, and all 5 of them, not just this one, and it really changed the way that I see things. My cousin and I would always discuss the novels and talk about what we like, what we dislike. Even we wrote fan fiction sometimes at work. We used to work together. So these novels didn't just change the way that I see life. They changed the way that I see literature as well. And I'm really thankful for that. We'll talk about that in a second as well. Let's just get to some character analysis. So Jon Snow defined the myth expectations. The reason why I love Jon Snow's character, is because he is similar to many people in the world. He is the guy who is hated for being himself, for being something that he cannot control. Not in the same concept, of course, being a bastard, but the point here is that sometimes people are born into situations and life that they cannot control or change, and yet people hate him for that. Yet Jon Snow, how do I say this? He lives up and he becomes a great person despite that. He is a reflection of his father more than his brother Rob, and he's a great swordsman. He's a great person to talk to, yet he is hated for basically being a certain type of person in that world. Littlefinger, the unspoken narrator in the novel. Basically, the highlight of his behavior is tricking the Starks into believing that Tyrion Lannister attempted to murder Brandon Stark, thus leading Catelyn to capture Tyrion, and then, of course, war begins after Sir Jaime attacks Ned Stark. In a way, Littlefinger was playing both the Starks and the Lannisters, but eventually he was loyal to the Lannisters because they have more money. He tricked the Starks into believing that the Lannisters did that, and he told the Starks secrets, and he helped them slowly gain power over the Lannisters, but eventually the Lannisters paid him more and gave him castles, so he chose the Lannisters. We can skip that. Let's talk about what if. The greatest thing that the novel succeeded in. The ability to make us question everything. To leave each chapter wondering, what if this character behaved differently? What if Ned Stark never went south? What if Jon Snow stayed at Winterfell? What if King Robert didn't die? All these questions aspire change and aspire fan fiction. Because when the author writes a certain idea, writes a certain theme into the story doesn't just it doesn't just have its effect on that particular moment. Instead, it goes through the entire book, and that is something that not many people can do. And if and when the author does that, he keeps the reader hooked and interested to read the story till the end. The question remains: why write Game of Thrones? Why did he write this story? What did he benefit from writing this story? I assume that he wrote it because he wanted something different, new, a new aspect of this medieval fiction world that has been brought before, but not to this extent of families and betrayal that is in this world. Another idea is that it is a reflection of real life. It isn't a sort of fear of his villains, which doesn't occur in real life most of the time. It is a sort of the powerful feels the weak, the traitor feels the honorable, the poor feels the rich, etc. It is a story of how real people behave in real life. And that is something that is really well done. Eventually, the lessons to learn from the book. Of course, if you don't learn anything, or if a book doesn't have an impact on you, then you didn't understand the book or you didn't read the book. And what this book taught me is that I should prepare myself for consequences of all of my actions. Even if I pick up trash from the floor, that might have a consequence. I need to be prepared for anything at any time. And I learned that. Furthermore, I learned that I shouldn't speak too much. Sometimes the best thing to do is to remain calm, even if I have something to say. Sometimes saying nothing says way too many things, and I learned, and that taught me a lot. And I have added that to my daily life, and since my life has changed dramatically. And furthermore, the book taught me to embrace who I am, to embrace my traits, my personality. I live my life the way I want to, as long as I'm not hurting anyone else, as long as I am happy. Why not embrace myself? This book taught me to be free, to be happy, despite of everyone else's opinion. As long as I show that I am good enough, then I am happy. Yeah, we can skip that as well. So this is the book, A Game of Thrones, the first one of the A Song of Ice and Fire. I hope you enjoyed my analysis. I'm sorry if it is a bit too long, but I tried my best to skip as many slides as possible, and I will make sure to upload the PowerPoint as well if anyone wants to click it and look at the other slides. Thank you very much and have a nice day.